This is a three-part series focused on different reallocation methods. This series will have 3 short videos, each explaining a portion of the query within our workshop. There are different reallocation methods, however today we're focused on one of them, which is even split cost allocation. Even split cost allocation allows you to do a showback or chargeback of your savings plan or reserved instance discounts and equally splits them across a certain dimension. For example, linked accounts within our organization. For this video today, we'll be focused on showing you how to calculate the number of times you should split your savings plans based off of this metric. Now I have my AWS console open here. We'll navigate to Amazon Athena so that we can query our cost and usage report. Now I've preloaded the different queries from my workshop here. You can refer to the different steps, copy the query, and paste it within your own console. With any of the queries from our workshop, you will need to refer to your own cost and usage report name. Let me show you how to do that. Now I have a placeholder here, and it's titled Your Table Here. I can just double-click this, it'll highlight that. I can expand my tables on the left-hand side. I found the cost and usage report name that I want to use. I can just double-click that, and it'll paste there. I'm going to collapse this. I'm going to run the query. But before we look at our results, let's take a look at the query. How does it work? We have different dimensions from our billing period, the usage account ID. We have this window function, and that's identified with this syntax over and partition by. And what we're doing here is we're counting the number of usage account IDs based off of this partition, in this case, the billing period. So how many account IDs did we have in this billing period? We have different aggregations. This case statement refers to my amortized costs. Public cost, which refers to the cost prior to savings plan and reserved instance application. And then we have this aggregation, which is going to be used for our redistribution. We have different lines within our different case statement referring to the savings plan Amazon resource name, and then pointing it to the public on-demand cost, and then for reserved instances, their respective fields that they should use. We have different filters here. In this case, the last 3 months of data. We have the different services we're referring to, EC2 as well as Fargate, and then our different charge types. Now let's look at the results. Again, we have our different dimensions from our billing period, our account IDs. We have that window function, so for each month, it's going to take a look. How many linked accounts did I have there? In this case, I have 2 accounts that are running in my environment at each given time. Thanks for joining us, and then refer to our next video for the next step. This is the second video within our series here. In this video here, we're going to be showing you how to actually calculate the savings to be used for redistribution. Again, I preloaded this query from our workshop. You can refer to the different steps within our workshop, paste it within your own console. With any of these queries that we're referring to, you will need to reference your own cost and usage report name. Here I have my placeholder. I'll double-click that. I'll expand the tables on the left-hand side, and I found the table that I want to use. I'll double-click that, paste here. I'll collapse this menu and hit Run. Before we look at the results, let's talk through the query. We only have one dimension here, which is our billing period. We have a aggregation and a formula. So public on-demand cost minus, in this case, this represents our amortized cost. So public cost represents our cost prior to application of savings plans and reserved instances. Amortized costs represents the consumption of those savings plans and reserved instances. So when you subtract the two, you actually get your savings plans. What would I have paid prior to the application of those savings plan and reserved instances versus what did I apply for the savings plans and reserved instances, and the difference between the two is my savings. I have my different billing periods here, the last 3 months. For this case here, I'm making sure to refer to my savings plan ARNs as being not null. And then my different services from EC2 as well as Fargate. Let's look at the results. Now it's my environment here. Nothing too exciting. I have a little bit of savings, but you see for each month, these are the respective savings that I saw. The month of November actually saw less savings because there's only 30 days in that month. whereas December and January actually have the same number of days in that month, which is why you see equal amounts there. Thanks for joining us, and refer to our next video where we close it off and show you how to redistribute those savings. This is the final video of our even split reallocation workshop. You can reference the query from the workshop, copy it, and paste it into your own console. In this query, we'll be using the components of step 1 and 2 to perform our showback of this even split allocation. Here we have a series of common table expressions that have equivalent logic as well as outputs as step 1 and 2. This first common table expression, defined with the word with and then the name for that common table expression, determines the count of distinct accounts. This is the same as step 1, where we're taking a look at this at a per billing period. Down here below, we have a new common table expression, which determines the savings plan savings on a monthly basis, the same as step 2. And then finally, we introduce a new component. We're actually doing that reallocation. As always with these, you do need to run this with your own cost and usage report name. Since we have two common table expressions, we'll need to replace our table name here twice. I have this placeholder here. I'll just double-click this, expand our table names on the left-hand side. I'll double-click the cost and usage report name that I want to use. I'll scroll down here and paste it here as well. I'll run this query, and before looking at the results, we'll explain what this query does. Now, this just runs the results of the same step 1, and this just runs the results from step 2. We'll take a look at the new component that we're bringing in. Here we have a series of dimensions again, billing period, account ID. We have measures from amortized costs, public costs, and then as we mentioned, the cost pre-SP, which we use for our reallocation. We do need to bring in the results from step 1, which is the account of a distinct accounts. We need the results from step 2, which is the savings plan savings. And then we're performing two calculations. The first one being calculating the even split. What are the savings for that particular month? Divided by the account of distinct accounts, and that gets us our even split. The next calculation determines what does that look like now. After we do that showback of savings, what should that account pay instead? Let's look at the results down below. Here we have our different billing periods, our account IDs, those measures from amortized costs, public costs, and the measure that we use for reallocation. Step 1's results, so there's two accounts. The amount of savings plan savings. Dividing that by 2 gets us to this even split savings, and then the even split cost. In this case, instead of having to pay $371, we're saying that since we're evenly distributing this account should instead pay $364. Instead of paying $684, this account pays $690. In this case, there's some shuffling of savings plans during the showback, and then this is instead what they should be charged. For an even split, everybody gets a piece of the pie. This concludes the end of our workshop. Hope this helped. Thank you.